Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Elementary, a great episode. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down bit by bit. Overarching, this episode dealt with one particular murder. It started with this woman named Misha, who was basically killed almost in because the moment Sherlock brought up the fact is scooping her brains, I was like, isn't that like what they do when they mummify people? And it seems like, yeah, that is the case because they were trying to basically forge her body to replace it with like a fake mummy, like replace it with a mummy or something like that, or to make someone think it's like, oh, look at her body, like she's got to be so and so, and it's like, oh, like that's what this whole thing is about. I thought that's kind of crazy, like that this entire episode dealt around forgeries. It's like forger here and forger there, like forgers all over the place. It's kind of crazy how it all ended up playing out. What's even crazier is that there's so much middleman situation in this, because it turns out that the killer and the one doing all the forgeries, the Thebian, are two different people, and the killer actually turned out to be some dude who's an instructor with weapons and stuff like that. I was surprised he actually confessed and everything. It wasn't even tough. He was like, okay, so yeah, he explains it. And it's crazy his reasoning too. He's like, yeah, but the fact of the matter is I owed a lot of gambling debts is why I committed these murders. Not just Misha's. He did like two other murders too. And he says so almost like so idiotically casual. He's just like, yeah, I did this, but I was in these gambling debts. So that's extenuated circumstances. I'm like, no, you idiot. Not just idiot, you asshole. That's your reason for killing all these people? Because it's like, no, I'm in debt, so I was like, I'll kill some people to make some money to pay off my debts. It's like, that's such an asshole thing to do. Holy crap. But then it turns out he was just a middleman because he was working for the Thebian, who ends up being that dude that Gregson worked with, like the guy who knows about all this stuff. I was like, I kind of had a feeling he was a little suspicious, the way he would just kind of be like, oh yeah, there's no way this could be murder. It's got to be something. I was like, maybe he's just being, I don't know. He just seemed like he was kind of full of himself in that regard, especially when Charlotte was like, oh yeah, it's definitely been murder. So I was like, okay, so I was suspicious of him. But then it's like, oh, actually later on he gets killed, and I'm like, that's crazy. Okay, so the Thebian's been removed, but it turns out the Thebian himself is just a middleman for somebody else. And it's this crazy unraveling plot, because it turns out that Misha was hunting down this other artist known as the Van Fo. He's another forger himself, but it turns out that same forger is actually her dad. Basically, she learned about her dad's situation, but it's like, no. She wasn't trying to expose him for bad reasons. It's like, no, she wanted to expose him because actually it's like, oh, you deserve gratitude, because it's like, obviously some people who do things criminally kind of eventually kind of, they kind of get like a good lighting from it. It's like, police would kind of cut him some slack, but for him, he didn't want to do that because it's like, yeah, his forgeries were sold to a lot of bad people. They find out they've got forgeries. That's the type of people you don't want to piss off, come back and kind of kill you thing. So that was kind of his main reason for it. But it is kind of sweet. Like, it's almost like, hey, your daughter knows you're a criminal, but she's like, no, I love you and accept you for who you are. The fact of the matter is, I want people to know how great and talented you are. It's like, wow, that's very interesting. Wasn't the response I thought. I was like, oh, like because once we found out that was actually her dad, I was like, my main thought was, oh, she was going to expose you because she has issue with you and stuff like that. The moment she found out you're a criminal, she wanted to turn you in. It's like, nope, completely the opposite. So I thought that was quite fascinating. But then it turns out the one really behind all of this is the auctioneer dude who got into this whole like legal situation with Misha too, where it's like, yeah, he was inappropriate and she sued and he tried to make good with her and everyone else. And it turns out he kills her. And much like the dude who ended up killing Misha, he's like, no, I didn't want Misha dead. I didn't want her dead. But it's like, once again, kind of like the reason why Van Fo didn't want to go public is because I've sold a lot to some very bad people. Like, he knew a lot of them were forgeries and fakes because of his connection to both Van Fo and the Thebian. So, but that's why he needed to kill Misha, because she was writing a book trying to expose all of this. That was her way of giving her dad the credit and stuff like that. So it's this crazy art plot. Forgeries and stuff like that. It's crazy what happened, And kind of an interesting thing in this case I thought was kind of interesting is when the dude who actually committed the murders, when it came to Misha, that dude, as well as the other two murders, it turns out that dude, like, he was picking up a sword and Bale pointed a gun at him and was like, yo, this would be like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, a sword didn't help that dude out of his situation. It's funny because I'm not that familiar with the Indiana Jones movies. I understand the reference he's making only because I've seen commercials with that particular scene in mind. So that's just interesting to me. Like, that's the only reason why I understand that reference, because I've seen it out of the in context of the movie, but out of the context of actually watching the entire movie. I saw it as a clip all on its own during a commercial break. That's why I think it's so funny. I just thought that's kind of a little interesting tidbit to kind of add in as well. And kind of really interesting too, I'm pretty sure the actor's name is Dylan Baker, right? The one who ends up being the mastermind behind all of this. It's interesting, kind of a tie-in. Well, if you remember correctly, he played Dr. Connors in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. But then you have the actor who plays Mycroft. He played Dr. Connors / the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield, which I just think it's just interesting to me. Like he's not in this episode, but just obviously this ties into Minecraft, so it's just kind of interesting to me, just the like connections there. Like, I know it's like a stretch to do that, but it's just interesting to me. So that's just kind of something I want to add it in there. But along with all of this is the overarching, like, storyline of like Moreland has shown up. It didn't come up in this episode, and it's something I kind of kept in the back of my mind. Does Moreland know about Sherlock's condition? Because it doesn't come up. I mean, obviously him and his dad aren't on great talking like terms anyway. So obviously that probably hasn't come up yet. It never came up in conversation, so I thought that was kind of fascinating. But I thought it was kind of neat because it's like for Sherlock, it's both of them kind of like surprised, they're both saddened by the situation. I even love that little tidbit about, turtles will live past both you and Joan. So have you talked about it? It's like, yeah, if anything happens to us, it goes to Kitty. And if anything happens after that, it will eventually pass down to her son. I was like, that's such a small, interesting detail. But for Moreland, it's like, yeah, he thought, for one, all the inheritance was going to go to Minecraft. Same thing about, like, he was going to speak at my eulogy. Even Sherlock said, honestly, I'm surprised, because out of any of them, it should most likely be either Moreland or Sherlock that died first because of their respective jobs. And, his dad, even before the whole Cabal situation, like his dad's business stuff anyway, and Sherlock being the detective he is, like, we should both be dead long before Minecraft, but we find ourselves in this situation. But I did like it that Sherlock was trying to make amends, not just, with his dad too, because he's like, that's why I tried to get in contact with Minecraft, because I was trying to, bridge the gap between us, and it made me realize like grudges are a stupid thing. So it's like, maybe we can kind of repair our relationship, which Moreland's like, yeah, we could tell. Obviously Sherlock kind of passes on the inheritance and stuff like that, which Moreland's kind of like, that kind of sucks. I wish you wouldn't, but for him it's like, I respect your wishes. So it's kind of interesting, especially because the last time we saw them together, in particular, like, at least obviously over the course of season 4, obviously things changed a little bit at the end, but it's more so like, it's crazy to look at them now, like you can tell that they are both making an effort, because obviously Sherlock had his own reasons by being like, oh no, I'll just stay with you until your car comes, if that's okay. And you have Moreland almost kind of following, okay, it's like, obviously he didn't know what Sherlock was up to, but that was all about the guy that was following him and everything. But I just thought that was such a fascinating little thing, because you almost saw him kind of perk up like, oh, okay, son. Even in fact, it's just, it is nice. For one, I'm just happy to have John Noble in the show again, just because I adore John Noble. Just like, he's just in so much amazing stuff that I like Fringe. He was obviously part of this most recent season of Legends of Tomorrow, Sleepy Hollow. So those are like the things I kind of know him best for in this. So that was always why I was so excited, finding out he's playing Moreland back in season 4. But nevertheless, that's just a thing on his own. The point is, it's just nice to see that they are kind of repairing the relation. Because sadly, like, that's all they have left is each other. Because once again, we don't really know much about the extended family, like, of the Holmes family. Like, anyone on Sherlock's side of the family, or anyone on, Sherlock's mom's side of the family, or Moreland's side of the family. That never really comes up, like, his extended family. Maybe he's talked about it in the past. If they have, I feel like they've never made a big point of it. Maybe they have, and I'm just not remembering. But nevertheless, some interesting developments. Sherlock ends up tracking the dude down. Turns out this dude is a well-trained assassin. The question is, like, what it comes down to at first, it's like, well, I don't know who this guy is. Is someone from like your more legit thing, or is it from your less legit thing? Which that's something even talked about. He is slowly dismantling the Cabal, but obviously it's like a large-scale operation, so he can't stop everything that they're doing. I think I'd completely forgotten about the fact is that he was taking it over to completely dismantle it. I think I completely forgot about that. I was just like, oh, I thought you just took over to take over. But that was I thought the whole point was like, he was going to take over it so he can make sure that it steer the world in the right direction, essentially. I completely forgot about him being like, oh yeah, I'm infiltrating and dismantle it to the player back, because right, I think I just like chalked it up to being like, oh, him in the Cabal stuff, which I do appreciate that storyline circling back around and stuff like that. I was wondering like, would it ever, and it seems like it does, with more surprises, but I'll get to that soon enough. But I thought it was kind of pretty neat for him to be like, so he doesn't arise any suspicions. He's actually been taking his own money, his own fortune, and kind of like mixing it in. So the Cabal thinks like, oh, everything's still on the up and up. Everything's profitable, while they're actually losing tons of money and like things are kind of falling apart. I mean, like I said, it's like a worldwide organization. It's not the easiest thing for one man to destroy from the inside. I mean, to be fair, I mean, obviously he's probably got his own sources and people he's brought into the organization to kind of deal with this. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I just thought that was kind of a very interesting development. But the assassin ends up killing himself before he can give Sherlock any answer. I thought it would have been pretty neat if we actually got to see it, because Sherlock was like, oh yeah, like I've dismantled your weapons, but I think I can kind of beat you in a fist, like when it comes to like close quarters. And I was like, that'd be kind of pretty neat to see, but sadly we didn't get the opportunity to see it. But the line that got me so excited, it's like, yeah, with like talking about like, oh yeah, he already had a feeling that this would happen. And he starts referencing someone. I'm like, is he talking about who I'm think he's talking? It's like, yeah, she's back. And Sherlock says it himself, Moriarty. I'm like, yes, I've been begging for it for such a long time. Once again, like the last time she physically popped up in the show, I want to say it was like season 2. I could be completely wrong. I want to say that's the last time when she was kind of like helping Joan and Sherlock. I think it's when we kind of found out first about her having a daughter. I think that was kind of the last time she popped up. Storyline wise, she popped up again when that lady tried to kill Joan, and because Moriarty's fascinated in Joan too, just as much as she is Sherlock, she ended up killing the lady while inside prison, while the lady was in prison, the one that killed her boyfriend Adam. She was actually aiming for Joan, but ended up killing Adam instead. It turns into that whole situation. So, which got me so excited, because it's like, oh, does that mean we'll get to see Natalie Dormer pop up again? I was like, I hope so. Because I've been begging for such a long time. I was like, especially when the Cabal situation popped back up in season 4. But it turns out like Moriarty's like, she's back to get back what she's originally heard. That's what this is all about. Moriarty's kind of slipped, gained back some of her power, and she's trying to remove him from the equation. Because let's not forget, this was initially her organization. Her ex-husband? Definitely her baby daddy. Because I don't remember if her and him, they were married or not. I know he was the father of her child. The dude, like, Moreland took the organization from. I don't know. I doubt it's about that. I mean, maybe on some level it is, because you killed the father of my child, but maybe it's more so like, no, like I just want my organization back, which is definitely going to be interesting, especially if Sherlock's going to try and protect his dad, the only living family he has left. And then on top of that, battling with the woman he once loved, and turned out she's like this criminal mastermind, kind of his polar opposite in that regard. So once again, it's very interesting too, considering everything Sherlock's already dealing with this season 2, if they compound that. Because I don't know if this is going to be an overarching storyline as well, because there's already the Michael situation, which Sherlock has come back to town and everything like that. So probably when word gets out, Michael like, oh, Sherlock's back, he's going to come back to town, which we haven't seen that. I haven't even thought about, oh yeah, that hasn't come back exactly. So, I mean, to be fair, it's only been like, what? And it's like the 3rd episode he's been back. Maybe 2? I want to say it was 3. I don't remember. But, yeah, so it's only been back a few episodes, of course, but it'd be kind of interesting if all that was happening at the same time. Plus, he's got his whole, like, post-concussion syndrome situation he's got going on, too. All that would be very interesting developments combined with the whole, like, Moreland and Moriarty thing. Like, I hope we do see her. I hope she pops up this season or something, because that'd probably be a crazy turn of events. Like I said, with all that. Because I don't know, because I feel like that'd be kind of a storyline all on its own in the season, but I guess with like this whole Michael serial killer thing, it can go back and forth. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe it won't get to that extent, because I'm curious to see like how long Moreland stays around, because he says he's going to be in New York for a week, but then again, it's like storyline wise with like TV shows, you never know with everything kind of bouncing around. So he might have left New York, but he's still got a target on his back, so that might be something he's dealing with on his own, but that still doesn't mean it won't circle back around in some shape or form this season. Because it's interesting enough, like I know I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but this season was extended by a couple episodes, because like CBS ordered for this to get longer than what it originally was supposed to. I don't know what the original episode number is. I would assume it was going to be shorter than the normal season, or maybe it was going to be the typical, like, what, ain't it like 24 episodes typically in a season? So maybe they've actually maybe it wasn't less. Maybe it actually it's typical 24 and they extended it more because of this storyline or something like that. I don't know. Either way, I'm very fascinated. That's got me super hyped because I'm like, oh my God, please, please. I'd love to see that storyline develop because I'd love to see what that whole Cabal situation turns out to be. Because it's a very fascinating storyline that I've always wanted to kind of get back to since season 4, which, you know, once again, I like season 5 storyline, but it was just because of the way season 4 I was like, oh, please bring that storyline over. But we did, but we're kind of circling back to it now, so I'm excited about it. Plus, we might get some more Moriarty, especially considering Moriarty is like, obviously, like all across canon, Sherlock Holmes' like #1 adversary. It's just, obviously, it's like, I guess Batman and the Joker would be like the best comparison, like two titans of hero and villain, you know? So I don't know. That's kind of me rambling on. I do apologize. So like I said, a great episode with those developments. I'm very interested to see what next week's episode has in store for us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.